Hey guys, how's it going? Ricky here from Most Valuable Podcast, here to bring you, it's the last one of the week. Now you guys got the kind of formula what we're going to be doing. I've got your AFC North, the last team preview of the week, doing the Cincinnati Bengals, hopefully not the Bungles. And before I get into this preview, I want to say it right now, for all you Bengal fans out there, we're doing things a little differently. Last year, I gave you the wins and losses for your team. Right now, we're doing that in a separate video. We're going to do that all the way in August. If you want to hear your prediction first, go vote in the little Survey Monkey we've got in the description. The team with the most votes will be the first team that we do in August, and then we're just going to follow right down the line. But let's get into this preview, and we're going to start with the losses that you guys had in free agency. You only had two big ones in my mind, both of them from the wide receiver variety. You've got Marvin Jones going over from Cincinnati. He's now in Detroit. And then Mohamed Sanu going from Cincinnati to Atlanta. So that's two big spots that, A.J. Green, he's still your number one, but that's two big receivers that you guys don't have. How'd you fill that hole? Well, you got Brandon LaFell from free agency coming over from the New England Patriots. Other two big gains is Carlos Dansby coming over from the Factory of Sadness, and Taylor Mays coming over from Oakland. And these are guys where it's like, yeah, I know what you're saying. Ricky, Brandon LaFell's going to be our number two. Really? He's going to be our number two? Really, the only one out of this list that I'm excited for is maybe Carlos Dansby, because he was a good player on a bad team. Taylor Mays is just going to be somebody who used to be a starter, but I don't think he starts for this team. Just kind of some depth there in the defensive backfield. Some of the big draftees, I should say, from the NFL draft that you had was your first overall pick. He's going to be key. I'm going to get into him a little bit later in the preview. William Jackson III. You also got Tyler Boyd, the wide receiver out of Pitt. Then Andrew Billings, a big just hog molly there on the defensive line, just clogging up the hole. And then my favorite Bengal of the year, Clayton Fedulum, just to kind of give you some depth in the defensive backfield. But let's start with the offense. What is going to happen for the Bengals this year on offense? And the first thing I got to look at is A.J. Green needs some help. Did you just hear the two guys I said you lost, Sanu and Jones? You're going to have to get them some help. LaFell's a start, but I don't know how I feel about LaFell as the clear number two for the Bengals. The way I see it right now, maybe this changes as we go through preseason games, but how I see it is Brandon LaFell's going to be your two on the opposite side of the field to A.J. Green, and then Tyler Boyd is going to be your slot wide receiver. I really think he's going to show something this offseason. He's going to start out as your slot wide receiver, and then if LaFell struggles through the year, Boyd can then make his way by the end of the year or maybe into next year. It may take the whole season to do so. He'll eventually be your number two wide receiver, but he's going to be a solid slot option for you guys this year. The other big thing on offense is Andy Dalton. This goes without saying, but he is the key to your team. If he's not on the field, you guys don't win. And I know you guys are used to losing in the playoffs, and I kind of feel your pain. Andy Dalton needs to stay healthy. If he can stay healthy this entire season, you guys may be able to win your first postseason game and maybe make a deep run this year, because I like this team, especially on the offensive side of the football. On defense, I'm just going to address the elephant in the room right away. Vontaze Burfict, 3-game suspension. And that's going to be a hole that you guys will have to fill early on, serving a 3-game suspension that he got from last year's ending postseason loss against the Steelers. But just overall, when Burfict comes back, he's a dirty player. I think with him, he just needs to change his game. And when I say that, when you make a good play, don't do something that's going to hurt your team, because if you didn't do that, you'd win your first playoff game, and you wouldn't have been all sad and mopey last season that you lost to the Steelers. Other key things for this defense, I'm looking at the backfield. Can Drake Kirkpatrick, can he be the guy, or is this going to be his last year in Cincinnati? He's on a contract year. He hasn't performed exactly like Bengal fans have hoped that he would perform. And now that you guys have drafted a young cornerback in William Jackson III, it kind of serves as a, hey, step up or get out of town, because the way I see it is if Kirkpatrick kind of struggles, Jackson III can step up and then eventually take his job, as the Bengals could just push Kirkpatrick out of the door at the end of the season. And one of the last things I want to touch on in this preview, really briefly, I'm going to give you the wins and losses, like I said, later in a couple of months, but I just wanted to touch on the schedule. To me, perfect bye for the Bengals. Week 9 bye. You get 8 games before the bye. You get 8 games after the bye. Perfect bye. That's the one that I would like to have for my team each and every year. And if you look at the first half, this is the top. Like your schedule in Cincinnati is very front-loaded this year. You've got a ton of tough games early. Then it kind of loosens up in the second half of the season. And some of the big games that you're kind of looking at right now in that first half, you're going to Pittsburgh. You're going to Dallas, who's going to be a better team, hopefully, than they were last year because they'll have Tony Romo. You get New England at New England with Tom Brady, and then you got to play the Denver Broncos at home. In the second half, I was kind of looking through it, and I'm going, really the only game that I'm really worried about is the Houston Texans on the road. So the way I see your schedule, very front-loaded. If you can survive that first half, you can put your guys in a good position to make something of your second half and set you guys up for maybe home field advantage in a first-round bye. But that's going to do it for my Bengals preview. Yet again, if you want to see the Bengals prediction, Bengal fans, you got to go vote down below in our Survey Monkey to make sure that we do your predictions, that I actually do your prediction first thing to start the month of August. I can't wait for those predictions as we're starting our previews right now. Go ahead and check out our social media accounts. You can hit me up on Twitter. You can hit Most Valuable Podcast up on Twitter, our Patreon page. They're all over in this area right beside me. Patreon.com/Most Valuable Podcast. If you want to help us out a little bit more than hitting that like and subscribe button, you can also check us out on Snapchat. I believe I saw Sean out of the corner of my eye doing some Snapchat stuff while I was recording this video for you. But go hit that like button. If you're new, hit that subscribe button. We're going to be going through all the divisions in kind of coordination with the onside kick all the way through June and July. Can't wait to come at you next week with the NFC North. Have a good day, everybody.